So we are studying basically O-level accounting, and you are seeing my YouTube channel Learn Accounting with Sir Haris, and we are going to solve a question from 7707 O-level accounting and IGCSE 0452 from the topic company accounts. So this question from company accounts has come in May-June 2024, variant 21, and this question basically comes from company accounts, and it includes preparation of income statement and the statement of financial position, and it has come in May, June 24-25. So please, you should have calculators with you. So trial balance is given. Zahra and Pania are the shareholders of and directors of Q Limited. Revenue, purchases, rent and insurance, director salaries, general expenses, advertising, dividend paid, fitting at cost, inventory is the opening inventory is given. Cash at bank, trade payables, share capital, retained earnings are given in the question. Inventory at 31st January were valued at 4720. Depreciation on fitting 10% using straight line method. Payment for advertising 75 is outstanding. Outstanding means accrued. You have to add it in advertising expense. No dividends were outstanding because we have paid the dividends, and we have to prepare the income statement. So let's do that. And then we have to prepare the column of the retained earnings also. And we have to prepare the balance sheet also, because both statement of profit and loss and balance sheet is required in the question. So let's prepare the statement of profit and loss first. I will start from revenue. We need to subtract the revenue, revenue return from the revenue, but I think sales return is not given in the question. So revenue is 78,000. Let me write over here 78,000 less cost of sales. Obviously, if there is a service business, then there will not be any cost of sales. We will just receive income from clients or whatever, and you will subtract the cost of sales as expenses. So cost of sales includes opening inventory, add purchases, and less closing inventory. You need to write the full version of opening inventory and closing inventory, but for me, I'm taking just the abbreviation, just the short form. So opening inventory given in the question is right here, 2950. Purchases are 38200. So 2950, 2950, and purchases are going to be 38200. So let me write here 38200. We have to subtract purchases return from purchases if given. There is no purchase return given in the question, and we have to add carriage inward if given. No carriage inward is given. So I'll subtract closing inventory, which is given under the trial balance 4720. So right over here 4720. So what is going to be the cost of sales if you just calculate it, so that we can find the cost of sales, and that cost of sales will be subtracted from sales to get the amount of gross profit. So can we calculate it? Okay. Okay. Thing has come actually. Okay, let me calculate it. I don't know what happened. You sent the message, but it is not showing. Maybe because of the problem in space. 2950 plus 38,200 minus 4720. So 36430 is the cost of sales. 36430. So 36430 minus 78,000. We will subtract cost of sales from 78,000. 41570 is going to be the gross profit. Now I have to add other income if there is any in the question, but there is no income given in the question. So I'm going to go for the subtraction of the expenses. So less expenses. Let me write it down. So from expenses first, let me write that expense which we have an adjustment also. So just see that payment for advertising 75 is outstanding. So expenses are given. Advertising expense is 5400. So I'll write over here, advertising. You can write any expense at the start, 5400 plus 75, which is outstanding. So the total is going to be 5475. It's quite easy. Sorry. Okay. Next is going to be rent and insurance, 10,600. That is also should be written in expenses, 10,600. Looks to be a very easy question, which has come in the paper recently. Director salaries are 19,000. I'll write over here because both of them are not only the shareholders, but they are also the directors in the business. So they are getting their salaries, which is an expense for the business. Then general expenses 3420. I'll write over here 3420. Then I need to write the depreciation. Let me write it down because dividend will come in the statement of changes in equity along with share capital and retained earnings. So depreciation, we need to write it down, fitting 10% using straight line method. The fitting its cost is 18,000. So depreciation on fitting is going to be 18,000 multiplied by 10%. So that is going to be 1,800. So what is the total of the expenses? I'm going to go for the total of the expenses to find the profit for the year. Always remember that if interest or finance cost is given in the question, then you need to find the profit from operation first, which is the profit before interest, before finance cost, and then you will add it up. And then you will subtract it to get the profit for the year. So because this question needs you to prepare the full-fledged income statement, so that's why the income statement is quite simple. 40295, thank you. So 40295, and we subtract it, we get the profit for the year. That is 40295, 1275. So 1275, oh, sorry, 1275 is going to be the profit for the year. So that's it. It's quite easy. Next part is basically you need to find the retained earnings, income statement and retained earnings at the end of the year. If you want to prepare the whole statement of changes in equity, now you can do that also. It's not a big deal because what you are going to write, you will write the balance first in the statement of changes in equity, like ordinary share capital, 13,000. Then general reserve, not given. Retained earnings, 2297. There is no change in ordinary share capital. So that's why the examiner has not asked us to prepare the full-fledged statement of changes in equity because it was quite easy. That's why. So if we talk about retained earnings, so let me go for a column of retained earnings, which you used to prepare normally. I will go for that column. The retained earnings at the start or balance of the retained earnings is 2297. We used to add profit in that normally, and the profit for the year is 1275. And we used to subtract transfer to general reserve and dividend paid will also be subtracted, which is given 2500. So 3 marks we can get like that, 2500. You will get the retained earnings at the end. It will prepare the whole statement of changes in equity. It won't take much of your time because it will still be very easy. So 1072 will be the retained earnings at the end. We need that. Why? Because we want to prepare the statement of financial position for which we need to have the retained earnings at the end. Next is going to be statement of financial position. Financial spelling is wrong, no problem, because we are least bothered about the spellings. We are supposed to prepare the balance sheet simply. So we'll start the balance sheet from non-current assets. And from non-current assets, we have only one non-current asset given in the question, that is basically fittings. So let's see. Fitting at cost is given, that is 18,000, and the depreciation is 5,400. So let's prepare the third column also, just to be very logical and very, we should go with the examiner, with the procedure. 18,000 is the cost, 5,400 is the depreciation, and the current year depreciation which is going to be added 1800. So 5400 plus 1800 is the total depreciation. Both will come 7200, and that will be subtracted from 18,000. So the answer is going to be 10,800. So that will be the non-current assets. Then I will move towards the current assets. And current asset, the first current asset is going to be the closing inventory. Then we used to have trade receivables. Then we can have prepaid expenses, other receivables, prepaid expenses, or cash at bank. Let's see. Closing inventory is given 4720. Trade receivables are not given actually in the question. Yes. Cash at bank is given 915. So 4720, right over here, 4720, and cash at bank, that is 915. And some other part of the story, some other part of the things can also come like, uh, 915, like trade receivables, which are not given, or cash in hand, which is also not part of the question. And we will get the total assets. So 4720 plus 915, 5635. And what is going to be the total assets, if you can tell me, and ask me any problem if you are finding. Total assets will be how much? Then I need to calculate the equity and liability section. 16435. Okay. 16435. So equity and liability section first includes the equity portion, which includes the whole thing which we use to write in the statement of changes in equity, which includes ordinary share capital. We have to see from the question, actually from the trial balance, ordinary share capital is 13,000. Then general reserve, not given in the question, we'll leave it. Then the retained earnings, obviously retained earnings I will write at the end, which we have calculated already, that is 1072, 1072, and the total is going to be 14,072 is going to be the total of the column of the equity section. Then I have to write the non-current liabilities. So I believe that in the question we don't have non-current liabilities. And yes, we don't have non-current liabilities. Quite a simple question rather. And we have prepaid advertising outstanding, accrued advertising is given. So that will also be a current liability of 75. And trade payables are given also. That is also a current liability. Let me write over here current liabilities. That is going to be trade payable and accrued or outstanding, one and the same thing, advertising. Okay. So trade payables are 2288 and advertising is 75. So 2288 and 75. So the total, what is going to be the total? If you can tell me what is the total of 2288 and 75, we'll be able to get the total equity and liability section. The problem is this, that as the examiner wants us to prepare the both income statement and balance sheet, no, you have to write it first over here and then you can total it up. So that's why the question is quite, he kept the question quite simple because you have to solve it within 20 minutes. Preparation of balance sheet along with the whole income statement and statement of financial position, especially regarding company, if he is going to give more of the data, so it will become much difficult for the students to solve it in the stipulated time. 2363. So that's why it has been given that way. So this is how we have done one more question. If you want to add some of the things in the same question, you can have trade receivable and you have to subtract provision for doubtful debts from the trade receivables. There can be increase in provision which is written in the expenses and decrease in provision is added in gross profit. There can be other income also, commission received, rent received, or discount received is an income, discount allowed is an expense. Trade payables, current liability may have bank overdraft. Then there will be no cash at bank, obviously, in the current asset. So, and transfer to general reserve can also be a part of the question. So this is how we are done with the question. So let's see. So this question has come in May, June 24. You have to prepare the income statement, carry 6 marks. Calculate the retained earning at 31st January. We have done with 3 marks also, and statement of financial position 6 marks. We are done with that. Zara and Panya would like to expand the company and increase sales. In order to do this, they are considering increasing the amount spent on advertising by 100%. Let's see, first move down. What is the amount we have spent on advertising currently? The advertising expense which is given in the question is 5,400 and 75 is outstanding. So 5,475 we are paying for advertising. 5,475 we are paying for advertising. And if you talk about our profit, so profit is 1,275. So you can easily assess that if advertising expense is going to increase, we can go towards the loss because already the profit for the year is not that high. Though our gross profit is much higher than the profit for the year. Balance sheet is equal, that's fine. But because of the gross profit is high, but profit for the year is on the lower side. Because what is the reason behind? Because we are not able to control the expenses. Number one, the directors are getting high salaries. We have to pay a heavy amount for rent and insurance. And we are also going for a heavy advertisement. Maybe because of that, we have a very, very, heavy sales we are getting of 78,000. To advise Zara and Panya whether or not they should go ahead with the 100% increase in the amount spent on advertising. Justify your answer by providing 2 points in favor and 2 points against this increase. So first of all is that if they will increase the advertising expense, they are going to face a loss in the rather this year or in the future also. Advertising might not increase the sales revenue, and because of that, they can face loss. So maybe even because of the advertisement, the business, we won't be able to expand the business. Already we are spending a healthy amount on advertisement, right? And if we see our position of cash resources, that is not enough. So 915 is a very little cash resources which we are having. And trade payables are also on the higher side. So 100% increase means that if you talk about the advertising expense, 100% increase means that it will double, and double means that it will around more than 10,000. So more than 10,000 means that we are going to have a loss of 9,000 with the same sales. So the sales should be increased at least by more than 20% or 10% to have higher profit. So advertising might not increase the sales, and that will result into a loss actually. If we talk about the favor, so obviously advertising expense will result in higher sales. Higher sales will result in higher profit, which will be able to cover the advertising expense also, along with the increase in the profit. Second thing is this, that we can have more market share because more sales will result in more market share. And advertising means that more people will be able to, we are able to attract more customers, right? And advertising campaign will have a better image in the mind, better image in the mind of the customer, better perception in the mind of the customer, right? But if we can improve a little, if we can improve the quality also, along with advertising, then definitely our sales will increase, right, with the same selling price, and definitely the profit will also increase. So this is how we are able to answer this question. So if we talk about in May, June 2022, I don't think so that we are having a question of company accounts in our last exam, but let me check it. Maybe there is going to be a possibility. Let me see if we can have. Let me check it out. I don't think so, but just have a look on that. So this is the question. This is the paper. I believe this is one of the most easiest question we have from company accounts in the past papers. As I discussed, because it involves the preparation of balance sheet also along with the income statement. So that's why uh, the data was on the lower side. So it was not jumbled up. Few just additional information is given so that the question should be able to complete. Student should be able to complete the question within uh, 20 minutes. This is how. So there is no question of company actually in the May June 24, which was already known to me. Okay, then fine, it's okay then. Thank you very much. And if you have any question, you can ask me. Otherwise, it's fine. Because that is the only question which we haven't solved yet. So I have solved that question in front of you for the same reason. If you have any query, you can ask me on WhatsApp number, and I have already given you the questions which is going to come in the paper. To inform me about the paper and do solve the May, June 22 and 21 and May, June 23. And one more, February, March 24 also. That will be fine. Thank you. Only the topics which I have given.